The late 19th century saw the rise of Zionism, a movement advocating for a Jewish state in their historical homeland, then Palestine, part of the Ottoman Empire. This land was already inhabited by a large Arab population, setting the stage for conflict. World War I brought the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. In 1917, the British issued the Balfour Declaration, expressing support for a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This declaration, while vague, had significant implications, raising hopes for Zionists and anxieties amongst Palestinian Arabs. The British, now in control of Palestine, faced the challenge of balancing the aspirations of both communities. The period between the world wars witnessed increased Jewish migration to Palestine, fueled by growing anti-Semitism in Europe. Tensions rose as both populations vied for control. The British struggled to maintain order, facing increasing violence from both sides. As World War II ended, the horrors of the Holocaust strengthened the demand for a Jewish state. The United Nations proposed partitioning Palestine into two states, one Jewish and one Arab, with Jerusalem under international control. This plan was accepted by Jewish leaders but rejected by Arab leaders who saw it as unfair. In 1948, as the British mandate ended, Israel declared independence. This triggered the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, with neighboring Arab states joining the conflict. David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister, played a pivotal role in declaring independence. King Abdullah I of Jordan led his forces into the conflict. Yasser Arafat, who would later become the leader of the PLO, began his involvement in Palestinian politics during this period. The war resulted in a decisive victory for Israel, expanding its territory beyond the UN partition plan. This war had a profound impact on the region. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes, becoming refugees. The conflict solidified the establishment of Israel, but at the cost of deepening the Arab-Israeli divide. The decades following 1948 were marked by conflict and fragile peace efforts. The Six-Day War in 1967 saw Israel capture the West Bank, Gaza Strip, Golan Heights, and Sinai Peninsula. This victory further consolidated Israel's military dominance, but also fueled Palestinian resentment and international criticism of Israel's occupation of these territories. The 1973 Yom Kippur War, a surprise attack on Israel by Egypt and Syria, shook Israel's sense of security despite its eventual victory. This war, however, also opened the door for negotiations. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat made a historic visit to Jerusalem in 1977, a significant step towards peace. The Camp David Accords in 1978, brokered by US President Jimmy Carter, led to a peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. This landmark agreement, however, did not resolve the Palestinian question, which remained a major stumbling block to lasting peace. Global stage and key players' international influence. The Israel-Palestine conflict has consistently been a focal point for international diplomacy. It began in earnest with the 1947 UN partition plan.
The United Nations has played a significant role, passing numerous resolutions and deploying peacekeeping forces since the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. However, its effectiveness has been limited by the deep divisions among member states, particularly between those supporting Israel and those advocating for Palestinian rights.
The United States has been a staunch ally of Israel since its inception, providing significant diplomatic, military, and financial support, especially during the 1973 Yom Kippur War. This unwavering support has often been criticized for hindering peace efforts by emboldening Israel's stance, even during the 1993 Oslo Accords.
Key leaders have left their mark on the conflict. Golda Meir, Israel's prime minister during the Yom Kippur War, is remembered for her tough stance. Yasser Arafat, the iconic leader of the Palestine Liberation Organization, fought for Palestinian self-determination. Menachem Begin, Israel's prime minister during the Camp David Accords, signed the historic peace treaty with Egypt. These leaders' decisions and actions have shaped the trajectory of the conflict, including the violent clashes of the Second Intifada in 2000. The conflict continues to evolve, with recent escalations in 2021 highlighting the ongoing struggle for peace and stability. Ongoing struggle and the path forward. The conflict began in 1948 with the establishment of Israel, leading to the First Arab-Israeli War. In 1967, the Six-Day War resulted in Israel capturing the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and East Jerusalem. The Oslo Accords, signed in 1993, aimed to establish a framework for peace by creating the Palestinian Authority and granting limited self-governance in parts of the West Bank and Gaza Strip. However, the Oslo process ultimately failed to deliver a lasting solution.
Violence continued, fueled by Israeli settlement expansion, Palestinian rocket attacks, and unresolved core issues like Jerusalem and the right of return for Palestinian refugees. The situation in the Gaza Strip, controlled by Hamas since 2007, remains particularly volatile. Israel maintains a blockade on Gaza, citing security concerns, while Hamas continues to launch rockets into Israel. The ongoing conflict has escalated in recent years, with significant casualties and destruction. This cycle of violence has resulted in numerous casualties and immense suffering for the civilian population.
Despite decades of conflict, there are glimmers of hope. Civil society organizations on both sides are working tirelessly to promote dialogue and reconciliation. International efforts to revive the peace process continue, though significant challenges remain. Finding a just and lasting solution requires addressing the legitimate aspirations of both Israelis and Palestinians, including security, self-determination, and an end to the occupation. The path to peace is arduous, but the pursuit of a future free from violence and injustice must remain a priority for the international community.